Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome to my review of Season 1, Episode 1 of One Punch Man, The Strongest Man. So, it's no secret that I love this show. I mean, any of my friends will attest to this. And I figured since Season 2 is coming soon-ish, I thought I would review it. So, this episode starts off on a cityscape shot of a bunch of people going about their lives, doing city things. And all of a sudden there's just a big explosion. And you see a monster that looks and sounds a suspicious amount like Piccolo just appears and starts hurling fireballs at everybody. And then you fast forward to a cutscene of people sitting in the boardroom at the Heroes Association building, which becomes much more important later in the series, but not right now. It's irrelevant right now, forget about that. But it's kind of important. Who have sent superheroes Lightning Max and Smile Man to investigate, only they got their shit pushed in. And then as the monster is about to crush a little girl with his bare hands, this hero shows up who is named Saitama, who had seen the whole thing on the news and decided to show up and just show the monster what for. And the monster asks him who he is, and he explains that he's just a guy who was a hero for fun. To which the monster mocks him and says that he has such a far more superior backstory, names himself Zack Man, and says that he was formed by the pollution of the earth, and that the earth gave birth to him so that he could eradicate all mankind and save the earth. Which is kind of a cool idea for a villain, actually. Kind of cool. I mean, and then he starts insulting Saitama because he's a hero for fun and start mocking him. And then Saitama defeats him with a single punch and basically breaks down in tears because it only took one punch, which is not what he kind of wanted. And then opening credits, commercials, and flashback to 3 years earlier, where Saitama's backstory is revealed, where it's revealed that he encountered a monster on the street after being rejected by a job interview, and the monster reveals that he is Crablante, who basically ate too much crab and decides to let Saitama go because he felt that he had a kindred spirit in Saitama. And says that he has bigger fish to fry and that he's going to go after a brat with a big chin. So later Saitama encounters said brat with big chin and asks the kid if he met a crab monster and had anything to do with him. And the kid responds that he drew nipples on the crab monster with permanent marker, which is kind of hilarious. I mean, it's a bit of a prank, but the monster didn't see it that way. So Saitama eventually decides to just let it go and walk away, but before he can, Crablante shows up and tries to kill the kid, and Saitama just kind of leaps into action and tells the kid to run, but the kid refuses to run because he has to retrieve his soccer ball, which Crablante promptly smashes under his foot. So, yeah, not entirely sure why Saitama was risking his life to save this kid, if this kid is just going to be this stupid, but he responds to, but Crablante, he calls him out for helping the kid, and Saitama tells him, asks him why he's going to kill a kid over a harmless prank, and Crablante responds that he's killed for far less, and that anyone who makes fun of his appearance dies, no exception. And also responds that since he's a part crab now, he can't even wipe off the permanent marker nipples that the kid drew on him. So he starts yelling at Saitama to get out of his way or pay the consequences. And then Saitama just starts laughing because the monster reminds him of a villain he saw in a cartoon show when he was a kid. To which the monster just knocks him and sends him flying into a soccer field nearby. And Saitama, he survives the ordeal and tells the crab monster if he kills the kid in front of him, he's going to have nightmares, and then says that when he was little, he didn't want to be some businessman, but he actually wanted to be a superhero who could send villains flying with a single punch, hence the name of the anime. And after getting himself knocked around for a little bit by the crab monster, Saitama takes his tie, wraps it around his fist, jumps over the monster's fist, wraps the tie around the monster's eyeball, and pulls him and all of his viscera out of him. And it's just a fabulous display of guts and gore, and it's just amazing. And then Saitama's really excited. It's his first fight, and he feels exhilaration. Fast forward to 3 years, and that same exhilaration has kind of faded. You can see, it's like, it shows a shot of his eye from 3 years ago, where it's like filled with passion, and then it fast forwards to him now, and it's just a dead eye. It's just a dead fish eye that has no expression whatsoever. And he's in the grocery store, and he's buying crab arms, which is what reminds him of this story in the first place. And as he's paying for him, the Brain and Brawn brothers, the one is a scientist who created basically they're on a warpath through the city. They're on a warpath through the various cities in which the One Punch Man anime takes place, and he gets attacked. They crush like half the supermarket he's in, so Saitama decides to intervene. And then it's explained their backstory, that the one brother is a scientist who created basically a super steroid, and he gave it to his brother, who was trying to become the world's strongest man as his goal. And it worked, and turned the muscle brother into a giant hulking monstrosity, kind of like Attack on Titan. And they're just leveling cities left and right because of how powerful the brother is now. At least until Saitama shows up and is standing on the dude's shoulder, and the one brother, the smart one, he freaks out and tells his younger brother to just crush the other guy, but he gets the two confused and accidentally crushes his brother, and the big guy accidentally crushes his brother, because they look very similar, can't you tell? And then just loses it because he accidentally crushed his brother and blames Saitama for it. So he just grabs Saitama, starts throwing him around like a rag doll, punches him into a building, and then he proclaims that he's the strongest man, and then the monster proclaims that he's the strongest man, but feels empty inside because he killed his brother. And Saitama is like, so you get it. Overwhelming strength can be pretty boring, right? And then just punches him right in the face and kills him. And accidentally crushes another city in the process. But hey, win some, lose some, right? So as he's on his way home, throughout the entire most of this, he's just monologuing in his head as an internal monologue of how he's become the strongest man, yes, but he's also lost some of what makes him human, his emotions. He no longer feels emotion or any of that, which is kind of tragic and sad. But as he's on his way home, he encounters a monster while the monster is just rambling on and on about what he is and what his goal is, Saitama just tunes him out and continues going on his internal monologue about how normally seeing monsters like him would normally fill him with anger and want to punch it, but he just feels nothing. And then as he's finishing up his monologue, the monster says that he's going to punch him in the face and leave a shine on his big bald head. And at that, Saitama just kind of like punches him right in the face and shatters him into a million pieces, and heads home and goes to sleep and explains his daily routine about how when he gets home he winds up unscathed. He cleans off his gloves, takes a bath, and goes to sleep. And then he explains that how it's just a hobby. Being a hero for him is just a hobby, so it doesn't really matter if if he gets any kick out of it or any of that, because he just does it as a hobby. And then he goes to sleep, and as he wakes up, he's woken by the sound of bricks breaking and concrete being broken in half, And as he wakes up, he gets grabbed by a giant hand, which he fights off, and is then punched through his wall. His house is destroyed, and then a bunch of monsters show up and punch him in the face, and he flies into a column, and he survives, by the way, because he's a badass. But the monsters call themselves Subterraneans and explain how they live under the surface, and that they're suffering from overpopulation, so they came to the surface to take it over, only to discover that the surface is also suffering from overpopulation. So they decide to just kill all humans so that there's room for everybody. But but Saitama doesn't agree with that and just kind of goes on a one-man army warpath against them all to save the surface. He's eventually punched into a fiery inferno, but he survives, and then continues to defeat them all and proclaims that he's a hero for fun and that the city is protected by him. And then the Subterranean King shows up and tries to kill him, and he's like, "What is this feeling? This is the exhilaration of a real fight. I forgot what this was like." And then he wakes up, and it turns out it was just a dream. Actually, a premonition dream, because not soon after he wakes up, the actual Subterraneans show up, and he jumps on the Subterranean King Mario style and kills him. And he challenges the Subterraneans to a battle, and he's like, "All right, who's next?" And they just leave. And he's just disappointed. And that's the end of the episode. Okay, so yeah, this was a great episode. It establishes that it's like a Shonen Jump anime, but it's instead of the person starting off as like some weak little guy and becoming super powerful, he's already become super powerful and succeeded and has nowhere else to go. There's no room for growth or improvement over his skills or any of that. He's already succeeded, so why would he? Why would he need any of that? And yeah, that's where the episode ends. And yeah, I enjoyed this episode, and I recommend getting to look at the show if you like it. I'll probably review the next episode for next week. But for right now, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you liked it, hit that like and that subscribe button. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!